Alright guys, welcome to my preview and predictions for Sunday's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Before we get started, I just want to return to last month's payback predictions, which were won by Darth Gamer, who was the only person to score perfect 8 out of 8 correct results, so well done. Now for Money in the Bank, and starting us off we have the kickoff, which features The Shield taking on the Usos, which will air live on YouTube and also the WWE app. In this match I'm sticking with a Shield victory, as much as I like the Usos, it does seem a bit random that they've been pushed into a championship match now out of nowhere, and when you think of all the teams that the Shield have defeated, it wouldn't really make any sense to have them drop the titles to the Usos at this point. I'd predict this to be a short feud with the Shield retaining the titles as a means of passing the time before the Shield and the Wyatt family clash. That would make a lot more sense to me, as if the Wyatt family are the ones to really challenge the Shield, then it'll help put them over, and as nobody else has really managed to stay on the same level as the Shield, it does again put them over as a force to be reckoned with. Plus, with the Shield being really popular, even though they're heels, it would be a good time to turn them face and let the Wyatt family come in and play the heels. Moving on to the main show, I'm going to have AJ defend the Divas Championship against Kaitlyn, which I have to say, it's great to see a Divas feud like this that has been getting more time and exposure on weekly TV, and I really like the direction that this has been going, especially when AJ played the part of Kaitlyn in the Hulk Smash muscle suit, and vice versa with Kaitlyn dressing like and imitating AJ, which I have to say Kaitlyn looked amazing. Then we had the contract signing this week on SmackDown, which was a first for the Divas division, and I'm not usually a fan of contract signing segments, but I like the way that this one ended, with Kaitlyn getting the upper hand and pinning AJ into the corner, slapping the hell out of Big E and taking out AJ with a spear. So with Kaitlyn having the upper hand going into the match, I'm tempted to go for a Kaitlyn win, but I still think that AJ will somehow pull out the victory, maybe due to some outside interference, as I think Layla could be involved, as she's been alongside Kaitlyn for a while now, and I can see something building, but I'm not entirely sure what. Alternatively, I can see Big E switching sides and teaming up with Kaitlyn further down the line, but I don't think we'll see that happen anytime soon. One thing I'm sure about is that these two will put on a great match, especially after Thursday's knockout ladder match between Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell, as I'm sure the WWE Divas will want to go out there and prove that TNA aren't the only ones that can put on a great women's match. Next we have The Miz competing in yet another match for the Intercontinental Championship, which seems to be a monthly occurrence at this point, this time going up against the latest Heyman guy in Curtis Axel. I'm going with Axel to get the win here, probably due to the help of Heyman, as Axel seems to be playing the part of the inexperienced rookie under the guidance of Heyman, and he hasn't actually had a lot of legitimate wins following his so-called victories over Triple H and tagging himself in to take the pinfall when teaming with CM Punk. But who knows, maybe this time we'll see Axel put everything together and pick up a deserved victory, while Miz will probably just get another Intercontinental Championship match next month. Up next we'll have Ryback taking on Chris Jericho, and this could kind of be a spoiler, as I'm going for a Ryback win because Jericho is scheduled to meet up with Fozzy for a summer tour, so that gives WWE the perfect opportunity to transform Ryback back into Ryback and replace the hugs with a brutal beatdown of Jericho to write him off TV, which I think it's needed for Ryback, as by not giving him the championship previously, he's kind of suffered from it and he doesn't seem to be as popular as he once was. Plus we've had the odd segments of him walking out of a match and then hugging it out with Vicky Guerrero, which, speaking of Vicky, now that she's been fired as the GM of Raw, I think it's only a matter of time before she's brought in as a manager for Ryback and provides a much needed mouthpiece. Meanwhile, Jericho's return has been all about working with young talent and helping to put them over. Dolph Ziggler, Fandango and even Bray Wyatt on NXT are just a few, and I can see him doing the same here for Ryback, so again I'm going with a Ryback win. Now for the first Money in the Bank match, and we'll have Jack Swagger, Antonio Cesaro, Dean Ambrose, Damien Sandow, Wade Barrett, Fandango and Cody Rhodes all competing for a World Heavyweight Championship match. Looking at the lineup, 4 of the competitors can be grouped together, as we have the team of Cesaro and Swagger and Damien Sandow and Cody Rhodes, which in this kind of match generally sees tag teams start to break down. Then we'll have Fandango and Barrett, who faced off on SmackDown after Barrett levelled Fandango on Raw. And finally there's my pick, Dean Ambrose, who will be wrestling in Philly, where he's well known for his matches in CZW, so he's bound to be a big favourite with the crowd. Ambrose is the one out of everyone that I can really see going on to become a world champion, especially when you factor in the other members of the Shield, as this match is obviously no DQ, so there's nothing stopping Rollins and Reigns getting involved and teaming up to take out the other participants, or help Ambrose scale the ladder similar to Rhino carrying Christian up the ladder at WrestleMania X7. As for the others in the match, I think Swagger has had his chance, but I think Cesaro is someone who has a good chance of taking the contract, as he too has a big future in my opinion, whereas Sandow, Rhodes and Fandango don't really seem to be at a point where I think they could pull off a win, and I don't see either winning the title if they were to obtain the briefcase and cash it in. Wade Barrett on the other hand is another story. I think he could be a strong contender here, even though his recent Intercontinental Championship run did see him lose a ton of matches, but that could just be a way to put people off thinking that he'll do it. Personally, I think Barrett has all the tools to be a credible world champion, as he's good in the ring and strong on the mic, which kinda leaves me wondering why they never let him have a title run in his earlier career moments when he was with the Nexus, which I think really hurt his character in the same way that it's hurting Ryback at the moment. So I see this coming down to either Barrett or Ambrose, and it's pretty hard to choose one. If Ambrose wins, I think he'll hold the briefcase until the prime moment when the Shield can attack the champion and set up an opportunity for him to cash it in. But if Barrett wins, I can see Alberto Del Rio win tonight and then being beaten up by Dolph Ziggler out of frustration, which would then give Barrett a great opportunity to cash in. So this is by far my hardest pick of the night, but I'm going to stick with my original pick and go with Dean Ambrose. Moving on to the second Money in the Bank match, which is being labelled as the All-Star match, as it features the big names of Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Sheamus and Christian, not to mention the returning Rob Van Dam. Previously the match also included Kane, but following the attack by the Wyatt family he's since been removed from the match and there's been no announced replacement. However, for those who submit predictions on the website, there's an other option available if you think someone will be added to the match in place of Kane. Bray Wyatt is a name that a lot of people have speculated, but maybe it's too soon to see him included in the match. Meanwhile, William Regal tweeted out that he'd like to be considered. Or what about Brock Lesnar? I could see Lesnar getting involved in some way to take out Punk, but if it transpired that he was actually in the match as Kane's replacement, he could even take the briefcase at the same time. In terms of favourite, I think Daniel Bryan will be most people's choice, and he's someone that I think I would really like to see win it, but I'd question if he needs the briefcase. I really think he's a strong contender for the title without the need of a cash-in. Christian, however, having only recently returned from injury, would benefit greatly from a win here, as it's a means of putting him back in at the top for one last run, as his return promo made it sound like this could be his final run. Then there's the returning Rob Van Dam, who could certainly make a huge impact on his return with a win, and he's won it before, so he's bound to be a popular choice. CM Punk again is another one who has previously won it, so can the best in the world do it again? I'm not so sure. I'm really expecting Lesnar to cost him his chance here. Randy Orton was one who ended SmackDown holding the briefcase, and he's been missing from the title picture for some time now, so I think he's another strong possibility. Then there's Sheamus, who along with Christian is probably my least likely person to win it, but if he's to be added to the title picture anytime soon, then I think a Money in the Bank win is the way to go about it. My pick here is going to be Daniel Bryan. I do think he's the favourite for the match, and there's a good reason for it following recent weeks which have seen his character really become a lot more focused and determined, so hopefully he can walk out as Mr. Money in the Bank, which would be a huge indication of how WWE have faith in him if he's going to go over all of these top names. The next match sees Dolph Ziggler get his rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship against Alberto Del Rio after his shock loss to Del Rio at Payback, so hopefully there's a chance for Dolph to win it back here, although I'm going with a Del Rio win for this one. The reason for this is that Dolph has had a mean streak since his last match with Del Rio, and it's seen him attack him multiple times, including this past week on SmackDown when he was dressed as Sin Ziggler, and I can see him losing the match, but using that mean streak to get some payback on Del Rio after the match, leaving him vulnerable to a cash-in, as I think there's a strong possibility that the winner of the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank match will cash in the briefcase this Sunday. Finally, we'll have the WWE Championship match between John Cena and Mark Henry, who I have to say had me completely fooled leading up to his retirement speech, as the messages that he tweeted out to his family prior to Raw convinced me that he'd be announcing his retirement, and the speech itself was delivered incredibly well by Henry, that it was without doubt the finest promo that I've ever seen him cut, and one of the best promos that I've seen on Raw. Then came the awesome twist with the world's strongest slam to Cena that really set up the match. Since then we've seen the two face off in the ring, with Cena attempting an attitude adjustment only to collapse under the weight of Mark Henry, which is something I'm expecting to see him attempt again at Money in the Bank. This time though, pulling off that attitude adjustment and getting the win in a great show of strength, although I'm pretty sure that we've seen him hit the A on Henry before. That said, I'd still like to see Henry pick up the championship at some point, but I don't think that'll be this time. Henry is however capable of laying out Cena after the match, and if Daniel Bryan does win Money in the Bank, then history could repeat itself, as it was after Henry competed against the champion at TLC in 2011 that Daniel Bryan cashed in the briefcase to win the World Heavyweight Championship. So that's my predictions for Money in the Bank. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to submit your predictions for the event, then check out the link in the description and you can submit your predictions to the Smacktalks Prediction League, which will then be scored and the results will be posted on Monday morning. Until next time guys, enjoy Money in the Bank and good luck with your predictions.